All right. Okay. So shall we start? Hello. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, our wonderful listeners, and welcome to a very special episode of the iSEAu podcast. I'm Faya, your host, and alongside me today is a co-host for this special episode. So we have Alex Chu from the C Collab team. Together today, we'll be exploring a topic that's close to our heart: the challenges and strategies of cultural adaptation for ASEAN students. Alex, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, listeners. I'm Alexander Chu from C Collab. C Collab, we are very happy to collaborate with iSEAu project. So, we met a few months ago in Hanoi, Vietnam. So, it happens that we come up with this idea of our project. And for C Collab, we are aiming for fostering collaboration within Southeast Asia. So, that's how it's C Collab. So thank you again for making it a success for the podcast, and also our speaker Robinson for agreeing to join for this podcast. So back to you, Paya.
So before we dive into our discussion, we have posted our QR code on our social media on our and the Slido code. We want to hear from you. Let me just share the screen for a moment. Okay. So we want to hear from you. So for those out there, if you have any question for our speaker, if you have any questions for myself and Alex, do please send them in, and we'll be going through them in our Q&A segment later within this podcast. Thank you so much. Without further ado, let's introduce our esteemed speaker, Robinson Sinurat. Robinson is the founder and CEO of Yayasan Mimpi Besar. He's a true advocate for youth, interfaith understanding, and sustainable development. Born in Medan, Indonesia, he holds a master's degree in social work from Columbia University in the USA. Welcome, Robinson.
Woo! Thank you.
Would you like to introduce a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I think Faya, you already explained about myself, but basically, guys, I'm currently working full time for my own foundation, like Faya said before, Yayasan Mimpi Besar Indonesia. So basically, we are focusing on youth diversity and education issues in Indonesia. Basically, I established this foundation right away after I graduated in 2018 from Columbia University, when I took a class back then in my last semesters called NGO Management during my master's degree. And then in 2018, I mean, like, that's my idea. I presented this idea in front of my professor and my peers back then. And after I graduated in May 2018, I established these foundations, right? So, but back in 2018, it was another youth organizations. And then back in Indonesia in 2020, finally, we are a legal foundation in Indonesia. So from a youth organization, became a foundation right now. So basically 2020, we became a legal foundations in Indonesia. But back then, 2020 until 2022, I was working for several organizations like private companies, government institutions, and also non-profit organizations in Indonesia. But I decided to focus on this foundation since last year, July 2022. So I celebrate my first year, like
Wow.
first anniversary for this foundation, like full-time job, 100% for now. Yeah. Yeah, I was born in a small village in North Sumatra province in Indonesia. If you guys are familiar, uh, I mean, like, if you are from Indonesia, I'm sure that you guys are familiar with my province, which is North Sumatra province. Yeah, so basically that's my short introduction. If you have any questions, we can dive in later on after the session.
We're so thrilled to have both of you today. I mean, that's an amazing background, and I'm sure you'll be able to contribute to so much from your vast experience, from working and also studying abroad. So let's delve into our first segment: challenges in cultural adaptation. Now, cultural adaptation is a multifaceted journey. and it comes with its own challenges. So what we've done at iSEAu project is we've done research on the different region of ASEAN, and we've found that a majority of the ASEAN youth face difficulties in academic writing, communication, especially with native speakers, self-confidence, and in social interactions. And students also have some difficulties adapting to cultural and social norms of the different culture that of our global academic environment. So what can youth do to overcome these challenges?
Wow, such a questions, right? Of course, for those of us who are coming from ASEAN countries, if we haven't experienced studying abroad, like let's say me myself, I did my master's in the US. Yeah, to be specific, I was doing my master's in New York City, like a big city. That was my first time. Like I mentioned before that I am originally from a small town. Even like the electricity, we didn't have it yet before, so we didn't have the electricity in my hometown, but I did my master's in a big city. Can you imagine that? So like some kind of things that Faya mentioned before, like how to write, how to be a good writer, like how to write an essay, communication skills, and then culture. Of course, those are challenges for us, for ASEAN students, right? So basically, I will share about this, how to overcome, how youth can kind of like overcome those issues based on my personal experience. Okay. So English is not my first language, as we know that I'm from Indonesia, so our first language is Bahasa Indonesia, and even I couldn't speak Bahasa Indonesia back then because I was born in a small town. So I spoke my mother tongue, which is Batak Toba. So basically, I couldn't speak Bahasa Indonesia back then. So I moved to the city. I moved to the capital city of North Sumatra, which is Medan. I did my school over there, and then I learned Bahasa Indonesia by myself, kind of like learning by doing, right? So, and then I realized that English is an international language that um, I need to understand because I really want to study abroad, right? So that's the first thing. So if you want to study abroad, you need to understand, you need to be able to speak the language, which is English, right? So that's the first thing that we need to understand, that we need to prepare from now on, the language, right? So speaking of of a writing skill, I think it's about practicing. It's not only writing but also speaking. I guess we need to practice. So back then, when I was in my undergrad, I wrote some articles in Bahasa Indonesia. Because, like I said, I couldn't speak English well back then. So I wrote some articles in Bahasa Indonesia. And after that, I tried my best to use the tool to help me in writing my article in English, which is Google Translate, as we know, right? So Google Translate helped me a lot back then. So after that, I keep learning back then, and then I wrote some article to some kind of like national newspaper in Indonesia, and then I tried to write also like academic writing, like essays, and then how to answer like some other questions. And then when I applied for some youth programs outside Indonesia, I learned a lot how to write an essay. So basically, writing is about practicing, I guess. And then communication skills, like I said, English is not my first language. It's not my mother tongue. So I say to myself, I need to be brave, meaning we are learning together. When communication is about understanding one another, I guess. So basically, when we talk about communications in our daily life, is about understanding one another. Let's say when you say something, I understand it, meaning, and then when I say something, you understand it. So meaning we have like a good communications. So we are not talking about the grammar, about the academic one. But if you wanna do a test like IELTS or a TOEFL, you need to have it like right? So communication is about understanding one another. So just be brave, like practice it. And then if you don't have any friends to practice your speaking, just speak in front of the mirror. It's like the easiest way how to practice your communication skills, your English, right? And then about culture, of course, even us, like we are from ASEAN countries, we are so diverse, we are so rich in culture. So first thing first, we need to understand about our own culture first. Understand and then know about our culture, embrace it. And then speaking of the international situations, being an international student, um, the most important thing is that you need to know your culture first, so that you respect, you embrace, you are proud of your culture. And then I'm sure that you will like appreciate, you will yeah, you will respect other culture as well. So meaning, you need to know your culture first, love it, like it, learn about your culture. And then you will be open for other culture as well.
Wow, Robinson, what a sharing. So let me summarize a little bit. So first, what you say about how to face the challenge for a student is to practice, whether is it written communication or verbal communication, and practice really makes it perfect. And of course, you can use leverage on other tools such as Google Translate back then, but now student can even use ChatGPT for even enhance their writing skill and their script, and also their academic writing papers and articles. And of course, you need to be step out of your comfort zone to really improve yourself in terms of the confidence that you want to build, and also especially you want to communicate with others and understand others. So moving on to, I want to talk a little bit on the build a sense of belonging. So build a sense of belonging is essential for students, especially when you are away from home. Like for you, like Robinson, you are away from studying in the US and whatnot. What strategies can they adopt to create a supportive social network, especially when you're alone in a foreign environment where you don't know anyone? Now, how do they start to create a support network?
Wow. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I mean, like your question reminds me about my experience when the first time I got in New York. Basically, like Columbia University is an international culture as well, and then how I adjust myself. The first time I got there, first thing first, I think like the orientation situations from my faculty, from my school, from my university helped me a lot. They explain about the culture, about the situation in New York City, and then how to join the organizations and other activities back then. It helped me a lot. So basically, the orientation is one of one of the ways, I guess, on how we can adapt with the situations as an international students. And then the second one, I will say that joining some international associations or organizations will help you as well. So you will meet like other international students who are having the same kind of like similar situations about culture, language barriers, the environment and stuff. So basically back then, so I start my master's in 2016, right? So back then, of course, yeah, I joined some organizations, some international organizations, but at the time I felt like I think we need more, like like more kind of like accepting, like more into listening your stories, kind of like that. So in 2017, my friends, my international students friends and we decided to establish an organization as well at Columbia, called International Student Caucus. So basically that's in my faculty. students from China, Korea, India, and Indonesia myself. So for countries back then, we established these organizations because we felt the same kind of like similar feelings and situations. We said like this: oh my God, we are international students. I think we need more like kind of like family kind of like how to introduce international students, especially from Asia. I'm not going to, like kind of like races or whatever, but like uh a lot of international students from other countries, but we are going to make it like more like specific, like from Asia countries, like us, like I say, like China, Korea, South Korea, India, and Indonesia, right? So we were so happy because we established it, and then like we invited like international students to join us. So basically, we are not promoting only Asian cultures, but also from other countries. But basically, the founders, the co-founders of these organizations are from Asia. Like we were trying to help. We were trying to share about our personal experience to the international students back then. So join the international association, like I said before, it will help you a lot on how to like kind of like the sense of belonging. So you will belong. In my opinion, you will belong to this kind of like situations, right? Especially when you are far away from your family, not only from your family, even from your country, right? So you need this kind of um like a family, but not really family, like your family abroad, your family in another country. So that's when you join the organizations like that, I'm sure that you will feel like, oh my God, I belong to this associations, I belong to this university, I belong to these organizations, kind of like that. So you need to find a place, a safe uh place for you to talk, to share, and then sometimes you will be a good listener as well, listening to other stories, kind of like that. So you need to find this. Even like, let's say, if you don't want to join an organization or associations, find some friends from other countries that probably you have a similar background, or like like whatever, fine, and then you have your own support system, so that you will be like, okay, I'm here, I'm going to study, and then I want to make a change, I want to learn from this country. And yeah, you have the spirit of it, you will have the energy to stay, to survive, and even like to contribute, like more contributions, kind of like that.
I love that idea. I love that idea of, I love the fact that you came up with the idea of actually creating an organization where people can, be with people who are in the same shoes, because at the end of the day, you're really not alone. You may be the only Indonesian, or like for me, because I had the same thing when I was in Scotland. I felt like I was the only Bruneian there. But you're never alone. There are people who are in the same boat or in the same shoe as you, and getting together, you have a common, a commonality. It's great that you went for, you had an organization. But I think for me, I mean, personally, from my own experience, I didn't really join clubs because, scheduling was difficult. So what I did was, I just made a lot of friends. I had friends who I would hang out with, go to the gym with. I had friends who I'll go for lunch with. And that's
Exactly. So let me share about my personal experience as well. So I went to the School of Social Work at Columbia University, right? So basically, I also have a lot of friends from other faculty. Let's say from the School of International and Public Affairs, Business School, Engineering School. Like I met them in one occasion, and then they will say like, oh, Robinson, we are going to have a party, like student party in our faculty. Come and join us. Like I joined them, and then suddenly, sometimes I feel like schools, like other schools, and then sometimes they say like, so what class you are taking this semester? And I said like, I'm not from this faculty, like, oh my God, Robinson, I thought that you are from the same batch as us, and I was like, no. So it was funny, but like that's how you have the sense of belonging to the situation, to the environment around you. So try to mingle to many people, as
Exactly.
many as
I
you
think
can. Why not?
we're very the same
Hey,
people. We're very social butterflies. I was I did management and I was hanging out with engineers. Like they took me to parties and I'm like, yeah, let's go.
I can tell when we met in Hanoi, Faya.
Like I like to put myself out there, and it's part of you feel a sense of belonging. You know you're not
Right.
alone. Moving segment, we want to look at students who seek support from student organization, like you mentioned earlier. University services, university also has certain services to help you um, prepare you for these, culture shock.
Yeah.
Now, ASEAN student may find the varying degrees of belonging and social support. They may find as not everyone are so not everyone is can just put themselves out there. So how can these different network, so if they can't do it in terms of just going out there meeting friends, how can they use this network to help with their overall well-being?
Okay. Speaking of the services that my university provided when I was there, so as an international student, let's say from ASEAN countries, because we are talking about ASEAN countries, ASEAN students from ASEAN countries. So the school also provide us like if you wanna double check about your SI, your writing, your homework, you can go. We have it kind of like, I forgot about the name, but like, oh, we have it in our faculty called writing center. So you can make your own appointment, like I don't know how many hours per week for us, because like we have like a lot of students, right? So probably 1 or 2 hours per week. So you need to make sure that you really use the time to really talk about your essay. So it's not like the draft, but yeah, you have it the final version one, and then you go to the writing center, and then you check it out with the officer over there who are working at the writing center. You have that kind of support, by the way, back in my university. But like I said, it's only an hour or two per week, so you need to make sure what I mean, like if you have like a lot of assignments, you need to really focus on which one that you really want to talk and discuss to the writing center. So it helped a lot, basically, especially for me myself. Me myself, because English is not my first language, like I said. And then my major wasn't, like really related to my undergrad major is not related to my master's degree. So I didn't write a lot when I was in my undergrad, and then I needed to write a lot when I did my master's, right? So I went, of course, I went to the writing center every single week to talk, to discuss with the officer. I mean, like someone who is working there back then. So that's the first one. So do not worry about that. Ask your faculty, ask your school if they provide some kind of help of this. So you don't need to be worried at first. You just need to ask, and then try to use the services that your school will provide for you, right? So that's the first one. The second one, as an international student, sometimes we are having kind of like issues, like coming to a new city, new country. Sometimes we feel like lonely, and also like we are facing about the different of weather. Especially in Indonesia, we only have like rainy and kind of like summer, but not summer, but right? So in the US, we have like for a season back then. So probably sometimes you feel like, oh my God, I'm not into this kind of situation, kind of like that. And then the education system is also different. So the school also provide us like talk to the counselor, talk to the like social worker, like talk to the mental health department, kind of like that. So our school also provide that. So meaning being an international students, it's not a big challenge for us anymore, because as long as we are willing to ask about the services that the school provide, you will be okay, I guess. Like I said before as well, like the organizations, if you really want to talk about the culture, about the situation, language, and etc., you can ask and then talk to the student associations, right? And then probably you guys can exchange the knowledge that you have and your friends, and then it will help as well, because like every single person has their own experience, has their own situation. So probably you can learn something from others perspective or others student experiences. Let's say me myself, I'm from Indonesia, I'm kind of like butterfly student, so I can go to blah blah blah, talk to many people, as many as I want. But some people, they don't want to talk to anyone, they just want to be themselves, right? So me myself, at the time, I identify some of my friends who are coming from different countries. So they said to me, Robinson, why you are so actively like talk to other people like that? This is me, and I don't want to push you to be like me as well, but if you have something to talk to me, I'm ready to listen. So do not worry. I will share about my personal challenge, and then I will hear your personal situation as well. So do not worry. If you need my help, just come to me, talk to me, and I'm happy to be your listener, kind of like that. So support one another, and then do not shy, kind of like that. Because like if you need help, just talk, just say it. I'm sure that some people are willing to help you. That's the key, right? So ask for help if you need help. That's it.
Yeah, Robinson, I'm curious, when a student, he or she would study abroad, so of course he would adapt to a new culture, or like for example in the US, right? There's like a huge dipping culture, or a huge different food that you need to adapt to, right? So let's say a student, what strategy that they can use, practical strategies for a cultural integration and also well-being. So any other steps that the student can take to ensure a smoother journey in adapting a new culture, like I said, a different culture in different country, because sometimes we need to respect other people's culture. And any other like tips for them to adapt to new culture when you are studying abroad, speaking from experience?
Yeah, speaking of my personal experience, I think that you need to respect every single thing in our life, right? So it's not only for people who are having different cultures from us, but also uh, even like me myself, if I met someone here in Indonesia from different background, from different province, I need to respect them, right? So basically, the strategy that I did back then, I'm a person, even though I don't understand about the other cultures, I am happy to hear. I am happy to, like to ask more questions, kind of like that. It's a strategy. And your body language is so important, because like when someone says something to you and then you didn't pay attention, the person will be like, oh my God, this person is so annoying. But like, like when someone talks to you, like, and then you pay attention, and then, oh, like kind of like your curiosity, like you keep asking like, oh, and then blah 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 blah, oh my God, that's cool, kind of like this is like appreciation that you can say you can give the persons who are having different cultures from you, right? So your body language, your eye contact, and I know, like, I don't know, like me myself, like I think that I like to smile. So when someone talks to me, I will be like, oh my god, yeah, oh yeah, and then oh my god, that's interesting, kind of like that. So your kind of like your curiosity when yeah, even like you don't know anything about the culture, and then when someone talk to you, just kind of like pretending.
Mm.
But after that, after you have heard about the person's culture, you need to do your own research,
Yeah.
right? After that, do your own research, and next time when you meet again with these persons, you have the idea, and then you recall about the conversation that you guys had before, and then probably if you have any more questions you can ask, and if you don't have, at least you understand, and then you learn a little bit about the culture. So kind of like that. And then that's the first one. The second one, being honest is also important, meaning if you don't know, just say you don't know, but like say it in a polite way. Let's say I don't understand and I don't know about this person's cultures, right? So I would say like, oh yeah, I ever heard about that, but like, would you like to explain like a little bit more to me, please? Because like it's been a while, kind of like that. So being honest is also cool, but like you need to provide, like you need to say it in a polite way, so you don't hurt somebody's heart feelings or whatever. Like that's the second one. And then the third one, I would say like the strategy is that, yeah, open-minded. Like welcome to every single differences in your area surround you, because like we are diverse, we are so diverse, and then you need to embrace that diversity, right? So be open, like open-minded is the key. That's the strategies
Mhm.
that
I love
when
that
I
idea.
started
Like
from.
it's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. It's not just them. You going to a foreign country doesn't mean just that you're foreign to them. They're not just foreign to you, but you're also foreign to them.
Yeah, exactly. Right, right,
So,
right.
and then, like, I agree with you. You have to learn how to communicate, and you have to learn how to communicate, and not offending them.
Yeah,
And nowadays I think having the internet, it's a blessing. Having TikTok, you can learn about all these other culture just watching TikTok in all these different culture. Like, just to share with you, like one of the experience that I had when I first, because I did my diploma in the UK. So I think all of us, majority of us as ASEAN, we know the no shoes in the house rule, right? But Westerners don't really get that.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and if I was trying, I remember I didn't know how to say to my housemate to take off his shoes because his shoes were dirty. Because it might offend them, right? They'll be like, no, it's
Right.
not dirty. But it's just our culture. We believe that we take off our shoes because it's been outside, right? So I had to really gather my thoughts. Um, so I started off explaining like how and compromise I think is important. So I started to explain because this was when I was living in a house with one Scottish student and another student from Dundee. Like they're both native of Scotland. So I was trying to tell them, like, can you please take off your shoes? So I explained to them, I was trying to think of a way without offending them, without saying, "Oh, your shoes are dirty, take it off." Because for us, like if you're in an Asian household,
Yeah,
that's what we would do, right? And we would just understand. But for them, that's not a norm. So I remember I had to explain, like, on top of having to explain, and I had to compromise because we were living in a house together. I want to be overbearing, to say like, oh, you can't do that, you can't do this. So I kind of compromise saying like, oh, do you mind if you go into my room, you take off your shoes? Like if you're in the house, I don't mind, but if you go into my room specifically, you have to take off your shoes. And I had to explain, I explained to them like from my point of view, make sure it's clean. And surprisingly, they were very understanding, and they were the one who wanted to ask more. They're like, oh, what about it? Oh, so why do you do this? Why do you do that? And I think the first part you mentioned about understanding your own culture first, embracing your culture before you go out, it's important because people will ask you back. When things like you can't do this, they'll ask why. And it's not because they're offensive or they're defensive about it. It's because they're truly interested. Um and and so I think I agree with you. I think we should have these like very open conversation, but we just have to be mindful. We have to be mindful how we say it,
Yeah,
how we communicate, how we give them the knowledge about our culture and how we accept their culture. I think they have to be a sense of compromise. I think that's one of the things that I think students feel they're scared of compromising, but it doesn't have to be scary, right? It could be
yeah,
something. It doesn't have to be scary. Like it's an adventure, compromising on little things. So yeah, I think that's it's a very interesting topic. Like I've always culture integration has always been a challenge that I accept open arms. But then I know for a lot of people it can be scary.
yeah,
Trying to explain your culture, not just culture, your religion to
yeah,
somebody who's never heard of it. It's very difficult, and it can be a very sensitive topic.
exactly.
Uh, yeah, exactly. And understanding yourself first,
Yeah,
so you can explain to them properly. It's important. It's not just because it's knowing who you are, but it's also being able to explain where you're from, your culture, your religion. That's also important to help connect that bridge of culture, to bridge that cultural gap that you would have with your native friends. Those who are not from that country, who are of a different country, who's never heard of what you do. So it's interesting. So I think we have to be open. I agree with you. We have to be open. We have to make this an open conversation. We have to, it has to be a two-way communication. You cannot just say, oh, I'm not your friend anymore, you didn't take off your shoes. I can't be your friend, you didn't take off your shoes. And we have to be understanding in that sense. So go so go moving on to our fifth segment. As we near our as we end to our Robinson, you talked about how you kind of use the services within your university to help you with your writing, right?
yeah,
In your university. Now, there's actually a lot of these services available in different universities. So I thought we could share. I know different university in different countries has different departments to help you with cultural integration. So as Robinson shared earlier, that he has writing department to help you with
yeah.
your writing.
Writing
Am I correct?
center. Yeah, we have the writing center. Yeah,
Yes. So it's the same. Like when I was in my university, when I first lived alone, my first time living alone, it was very scary. But what we had in our university was international department, which focus solely and it was great. I They were the one who helped me find accommodation. They helped me sort out my transport from the airport. And even when I arrived, I remember that they had counseling. They had counseling services. They had so many of these different services. You could have like religious services. If you're not sure where's your closest mosque or your closest temple, you can actually ask them. They have all these information, and they help you. They help you. I remember this because they know that the influx of homesickness is very high when it's like festival area. Coming to Christmas, coming to Hari Raya, coming to Chinese New Year. The homesickness is like right up there. Like I was homesick, right? Because because I remember, and they actually called you. Like the services was amazing. They actually dropped an email saying, "Hey, happy, Raya's coming soon. I know you're currently fasting. Like, how are you? Are you connecting with your family? Do you know, are you having issues? Do you need to use the internet at the university so you could connect with your family?" It was amazing. And if you're a very shy person, then they can actually do a one-on-one. They'll actually have a counselor to just talk to you and just guide you through how you can, navigate through this new world that you've just entered. So it's an amazing services. So if you are planning to go to a certain university, have a look at these different services that they have that could help you kind of settle in, could help you like close that gap to go into this foreign land. Would you like to share any last thoughts, Robinson, on your experience on
Okay,
this?
so speaking of my personal experience, do not ever worry. Like if you have some questions, just ask the university. I'm sure they will provide you the informations. It's not only about how about uh I mean like the situation is in the university, but also the situation in the city that you are going to stay there. That's why I just wanna how to say, I just want to say to all listeners later on, the first thing first, you need to be honest to yourself, meaning what kind of helps that you need, what kind of things that you really want to have, or like what kind of stuff that you want to to yourself first. So being honest is one of the key, right? One of the keys, right? So being honest. By being honest, I guess like you will identify yourself, and then you will try to find out how to answer, how to overcome the challenge that you have in yourself and then in your academic or whatever. So being honest. The second one, be brave. Of course, when you have it, like when you identify your weaknesses, let's say your weaknesses, you need to be brave on finding the ways to solve the issue, right? Be brave. And then it's we need to take action. So be willing to implement it. I mean, like when you have something in your mind, and then let's say you have something in your mind and then you write it down, but you don't say it, or like you don't take an action, it will be like zero, nothing, right? Nothing will be, nothing happens. But like when you do it, take actions, and then you will find out whether you are going to achieve or not, but at least you try, right? So action. So probably that's my last kind of like reminders for all of us ASEAN youth on how to deal with this kind of challenges in the international, being an international students abroad.
Alex, would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Um, yeah, I agree with Robinson about, being open-minded, and, of course, when you want to go abroad or trying a new, settle down into a new culture, of course, you need to be mindful and you need to be open-minded about the new culture. And when you understand yourself and understand your culture that you are experiencing, the new culture that you are experiencing, you need to be respectful as well. So, so that you live in harmony, especially when you are in abroad. And of course, I believe, people are easily adaptable. I mean, like humans are easily adaptable to certain environments. And as long as you are, as long as you are, true to yourself, be honest to yourself, and as long as you not afraid to try stuff, like not afraid to try new things, and also be brave to communicate with other people, I think everything is fine, especially when you are coming from a non-speaking, non-English speaking country. Go out there, speak to people, and then, practice makes perfect. And then I think that's the end of my thing.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then probably one thing that I will share as well, like as we know that we are coming from different cultures, different background, religions, and stuff. Just want to say, like, we need to embrace our diversity.
Of course,
So
of
the
course.
hashtag will be embrace diversity.
I love that. Embrace. You should have let us know early so people could just hashtag that. Fantastic. Thank you so much. What a rich and enlightening discussion it has been. We've explored the challenges of cultural adaptation, strategies to build a sense of belonging, and looking at different social support network and practical ways to ensure a smooth integration journey. Now, let's move on to our Q&A session. We have a number of just share screen here. So we've got a number of questions here. Let's start from
Oh, okay.
I know. So we'll go through what we can. Let's go for the first one. Oh, this is interesting. This is me. This is how I felt. I feel bad asking the person to keep repeating themselves because I cannot understand due to the thick accent. How can I do so without offending or annoying them? Robinson, Alex, any idea? Have you ever faced this before?
Yeah. I ever experienced this situation as well, but like below in Scotland, but not in Scotland,
Uh-huh.
back in New York City, because like we are coming from different backgrounds as well, right? So how can I do so without offending or annoying them? In my opinion, just say like, hi, pardon me, kind of like that in a polite way. You can say like me myself at the time I say like I'm from Indonesia. English is not my first language. I start with that.
Yeah.
And then I said, if you don't mind to repeat one more time, or if let me know if I get it wrong. You mean like this? Like clarifying. Clarifying or like ask to repeat one more time. It's like a polite way though. I mean, it's a good way because like if you don't understand and then you try to answer, but like, oh my God, that was not my questions, but why you answer that? Kind of like, it's not good. So basically clarify one more time in a polite way, okay? With a good like, body language as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That it's very helpful. And I'm sure, like, when we talk about speaking English, but then there's different accent when you go out there, right? And sometimes it's very difficult to understand different accent, and it's not their fault, and it's not your fault either. So one of the things you can do is, as Robinson has said, what I do is I'll email you, I'll text you.
Yeah.
My final thing that I do, if I still don't understand after 2-3 times, I'll text you, I'll email you. So that's what I do. I do have colleagues who have very thick accent, and when I don't understand, I'll drop you an email. That means I don't understand. So in black and white, that
Yeah,
helps.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's have the second one. The idea of living with other people who I am not familiar with at campus is terrifying. Okay. How can I prepare myself for this? Oh, interesting. How do you
Yeah.
think?
This is interesting. So
Mm,
uh probably before you yeah, I mean like before you are flying to another city or another country, basically the university or like the dorm staff will send you an email. You will be one apartment, one dorm with this person
mm,
who is coming from this country and country blah 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 culture. And first thing first, I think you need to learn about their culture first, about the what about people who are living in the UK, let's say from Europe or like from Asia, yeah, like Asia countries or whatever. Try to learn about their cultures, and then it's fine when you think that you are not I mean like you are not getting along with that person's. I mean, just say it to your university. So this is my personal story as well.
mm,
The first time I moved to New York, my roommate is from different country, right? I don't want to mention it here, but like, yeah, for a couple of months we stayed together, and after that, I felt like we didn't get along, and then I said
mm,
to him like in a good way. We discussed, and then I said, I think that I'm going to move out. I'm going to find another apartment. I'm so sorry for this, but like I don't want to bother you as well. And then he also said to me, thank you for letting me know, Robinson. I appreciate it. And then I don't mind if you want to find another apartment. It's kind of like that. So discuss about that. And then also you can also talk to your kind of like the university staff, or like who are working for this accommodation and stuff, right? So talk to the person if you are comfortable, but if you are not comfortable, you can talk to the university team, kind of like that. That's my personal experience. Probably Faya, you have other thing to share.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's a good idea. Don't feel as if you're stuck with them for the next 3 years or for the next 2 years that you're going to be doing your course there. You know, there's always option for you to leave, to ask to be relocated to. So one of the things that I did was I asked if possibly if I could get the contact information of the person I'm going to be living with. So before I actually moved to the other country, I tried to create a rapport, you know, via email, via text, or have a Skype call. Just say, hey, I'm going to be your roommate. You know, just try to get to know them as a person. See if we can vibe. I mean, that gives you an indication already, right? Depending on how you can talk to them online or how they reply in your messages. So once you get there, it's not as if it's a total stranger. At least you know a little bit something about them already. But this is they don't really usually give the information of the people you're going to live with. I mean, if they're comfortable, usually I would ask, can you please ask that person if they're comfortable sharing? And I would usually give my information. Like, I don't give like my phone number, but I would give like my social media so we could just DM and then just get to know each other. So at least you know it's not a total stranger when you get there. So moving on to our next question. External organization or government agencies.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I think because I'm not part of the university the university teams back then, but as far as I know, if you want to collaborate with the external organizations, you need to write an email, probably like a formal email to the institutions or to the university, and then offer them offer them to meet first, like what kind of collaboration that you are guys want to work on, and then send email, and then meet in person or like Zoom meeting or whatever, and then you guys can collaborate.
I
That's
mean,
my
I
opinion.
think it's very difficult for university to
Yeah.
collaborate directly with government agency or external organization. But there are certain things that, like for example, embassies do a lot of
Yeah.
program to help you kind of, for example, in the Brunei embassy in the UK, for example, they host a lot of events to help you meet with other Bruneians in the country. So that again is a form of creating a social network for you. So that's one way they help to enhance the cultural integration. Um, each embassy has an officer specifically for students, for any student issues, whether it's issues with the university or issues blending in on your courses. So they do have that to help you adapt to your new environment. So that's something that government agencies can do. I haven't really heard of any collaboration directly with the university. Alex, have you had any experience with direct
Yeah,
collaboration
I
with the
think
university on
for
this?
university to collaborate external organization, it's a bit hard, but
Mm,
you can what we can do is start small first. Like Robinson, he started a international organization in his own university first. When paths cross or things would extend to a bigger event or a bigger agenda, we can extend the invitation to external organization or the government agency to participate as well to a collaboration. But I think if we have should start small, just to gather our own group of support network, and then from there we can go further to extend the collaboration. So moving on to the next question that I can see in the Slido. By the way, thank you for so many interesting questions. Based on your own experience, how can university strike a balance between preserving cultural identity and promoting integration?
Yeah, based on my experience, I think Faya already mentioned about that. The university sometimes offer like they have like some events on how to balance this, like preserving
Mm.
cultural identities and promoting integration. So meaning like they try to identify the international students, and then they provide like some kind of like events on it, and then like the university usually do that. That's my personal experience though. Like they are aware of it, so they are trying to make this the international students are like kind of like enjoy the new environment, and then yeah, feel like comfortable and belong to the university.
Yeah, I think I believe most of the university they also do like culture week. So
Yeah.
during the culture week they promote different cultural identities and also diversity among the culture within the campus. So I guess that is one kind of way to preserve the cultural identities. Can you share any success stories or practices related to cultural integration in higher education if you have?
Oh yeah. So this is like a success story in my personal opinion. So when we established the international students caucus in our school of social work back then, we implemented a project called I think it was like embrace diversity. So we collect like a lot of pictures, photos from other students as well. It's not only from us, the committee members, but also from other students in our faculty to send their like pictures, photos during, let's say, during their trip to another country, or like their own cultures. They send it to us, and then we selected like the best pictures, and then we display the pictures like in our buildings, like we display it, and then we explain about the pictures, what does it mean for them, and then why, and blah blah blah. And then we try to share the story about our differences through the pictures, and then we got like positive feedbacks, like from the students and also the lecturers in our school, because like, oh my god, this is beautiful, I've never been here, but like I love this, I would like to visit this country, and then I want to see this traditional costume, I want to see this. Oh my god, like it was amazing. So probably that's one of the best practices that I experienced back then.
Thank you for sharing, Robinson. Unfortunately, we're running out of time for the Q&A session, but don't worry. I will keep all of the question. I'll send it to Robinson, and we'll share it in our social media for those whose question has not been answered. Would I'd like to invite our speaker and our co-host Alex to share any last word. Robinson, would you like to start?
Sure. I just want to repeat what I've said before. Like, you guys need to be brave, be honest, and be willing. Those three things, those three words, like honest, brave, and willing. So you need to combine the three of them to be like I know how to be more confident, to be and a better person, kind of like that. So be brave, be honest, and be willing.
Yeah, for me, I have no no last word, but to thank you everyone, a listener, to tune in or to join the podcast, and I hope you guys learn a thing or two from the culture and also from our speaker, Mr. Robinson. You can follow his social media, Robinson, and yeah, thank you all again for this successful collaboration between iSEAu and also CCollab. Back to you, Fire.
Thank you both for such an insightful contribution. And to our listeners, we also like to thank our partners. Let me just put our partners up here. Thanking also our partners. Um, and our listeners, remember that embracing diversity and fostering a sense of belonging enriches not only the lives of the individual, but also of the global community as well. Bear in mind, so that's a wrap for this very special episode where we are collaborating with the C Collab and also having Robinson here with us as our speaker today. Let's carry forward this lesson that you've learned today. Let's be open minded. Let's be brave. Let's put yourself out there. And at the end of the day, let's support one another. Don't bring each other down, no matter from whatever country you're from, whatever your background. We have to support each other. So, goodbye, everybody. Until next time, keep exploring, embracing, and making a positive impact on our own unique way. Thank you so much. You have a good evening, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.